All right, it is Austin Holleman back again with another live stream. I told you guys I'm gonna try to go live at least 2 to 3 times a week now that I'm out here in Africa and I'm on 5G internet back in the lovely Kenya, which, in my opinion, out of all 5 countries, is my favorite and I think is the best so far. But SA might give it a run for its money. But we're gonna hear about another country in, we would say, Northwest Africa, Cape Verde, which is a Portuguese colony. Uh, I'm not sure too much about the history with the slave trade and all that, but we're gonna bring in one of my favorite YouTubers, the guy that taught me about Brazil before I went there, helped me out a lot watching his videos, the one and only Dennis John Pierre. How are you today?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing excellent, excellent, always excellent out here in Africa,
Uh,
especially King. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. I just got back to the States a couple of days ago. I spent a few weeks in Portugal and a few weeks in Cabo Verde. So I'm back in the saddle.
So, out of the two, which one would you say you like the most?
Socially, Cabo Verde, because they made me feel like I was family.
Okay,
They
that's
made
what
me
most of Africa feels like.
very receptive people, very beautiful people. Infrastructure wise, and everything else, I have to give the nod to Portugal.
Okay, I could see that.
Mhm.
Europe in general, of course, they're going to make the colony be a lot less developed than than their, I guess, motherland. I guess you would call it. So, how developed was Cape Verde? How was the infrastructure? Like the roads. Was there a lot of dirt roads? Internet?
Well, they have paved roads and they have cobblestone roads. Like the further you get out, there's Cabo Verde. Cabo Verde is 10 islands, and
Okay,
I was on the biggest island called Santiago,
okay,
which includes the capital city of Praia. I was in Praia, Cabo Verde, and inside the city, just paved roads, cobblestone streets, a lot of construction, a lot of new construction, a lot of incomplete construction. Uh, they pretty much electricity is expensive. There's no Uber. There's only taxis.
oh
Uh,
god,
it's a little isolated. Uh,
yeah.
it may be difficult to get things, stuff that you may need. Uh, but other than that, it's pretty modern. They got a lot of. You can get a really nice, modern looking apartment. I've seen a lot of them over there in Praia. Modern looking apartment building. You can have one built for you. I tried to find out how much one cost, but I couldn't get the numbers. But it's a lot of construction going on over there right now.
Okay, so let me ask you about since you said they only have taxis and no Uber.
Mhm.
Most of the African countries I've been to, let me say Tanzania, Rwanda, Zambia, they're on the apps and
Mhm.
they don't know how to use the apps. Did you have a hard time telling a taxi where to go, or did it seem like they didn't know their own city almost?
Well, the city is quite small. I mean, there's no the taxis are not metered. Everything's flat rate. And I got the impression that every driver knew where they were going. They knew exactly where they were going. They knew exactly, you know, where every point was on the in the city and on the island. So, getting to where you wanted to go wasn't a problem.
Okay, okay. And comparing, how many years would you say, or how many decades would you say that Cape Verde is behind, let's say, Portugal as far as infrastructure and modernization?
I would say I would say 30 years.
Oh, okay, that's what Tanzania was like. Yeah,
Yeah,
very far behind.
I would say 30 years.
And the internet, was it 5G speeds like Portugal?
No. Uh
No.
it was 3G. They told me it was 4G, but it was 3G.
So to upload a YouTube video would take at least 2.5 hours.
Pretty much. I mean, like cell
Oh,
phone speeds, like data speeds, it was like 3G, but the internet speed inside my apartment, the apartment that I had, my Airbnb was pretty decent.
yeah. Okay, so would you say that Cape Verde inspired you to go to the rest of Africa, or did it make you kind of,
Absolutely.
yeah, really?
Because just from watching your videos and other guys' videos who've been to Africa, when y'all say that Africa is dope, I see why y'all say that now. I never doubted y'all. It's one thing to hear other people say it. It's another thing to experience it for yourself. Now I really know what y'all talking about when y'all say Africa is dope because I got a little bit of taste of it. Just
So
seeing, black cab drivers, black construction workers, black airline pilots. You know what I'm saying? It's a good thing to see.
it made you fit right in. You felt like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. After, when I first got there, I felt a little uncomfortable because, I didn't know anything, didn't know anybody. I wasn't familiar with the people. But when I left there, I felt like I was a family member.
Wow. Yeah.
In the airport, I'm looking around, it was a long line in the airport, trying to get my boarding pass. But I'm looking around, I'm looking like they're all my family members. That's how I felt.
So how would you say that it made you view, because I know in the United States, in my experience, that between black people back home, there's a little tension just naturally almost. Would you say that kind of changed it for you being in an all black country?
Yes. Well, I said this when I was there. I said, in America, a lot of black folks got a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
And daring somebody to knock it off. But over there, I didn't get that. Everybody spoke. Well, damn near everybody spoke. People walk past you in the street, they speak, they make eye contact. I mean, it's very open socially, very, very receptive.
Okay. And would you say that there's an investment opportunity, like a huge investment opportunity, like how I say in Tanzania, they're 30 years behind, but if you want to get in the game there as far as investing, the time is now to do it because it's growing rapidly. Would you say the same about Cape Verde?
Depends on what you're investing in.
Yeah. So like, let's say like real estate.
I could see that, but there's a lot of construction over there. I see there's a lot of businesses like beachside businesses, restaurants, lounges, bars, things like that. But a lot of them are not black owned. They're owned by the Portuguese. They come in and Chinese, believe it or not. I saw some Chinese out there. They built the whole damn school out there.
Yeah. They're all over there.
So I think there are definitely opportunities there because I saw a lot of unfinished construction. And I asked around. They told me the reason why that is because they don't have the money to finish the construction. So, I could see Cabo Verde as being a really up and coming spot. The more people bring awareness to it.
So which one would you say is cheaper? I want you to compare the cost of living to, let's say, Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, or Praia in Cape Verde.
It's hard to say because I don't know how much rent was out there in Praia, so I can't give you an accurate assessment, but it is fairly cheap. The unit of currency out there is called the escudo, the Cape Verdean escudo. And $1 US is equal to, right now, about 100 Cape Verdean escudos. So I had to get used to that because I never even knew what the damn currency was before I got over there. So I had to find a bank, pull some money out of the ATM machine, and go from there.
So in Brazil, I know $1 kind of spends like $5. What would you say how much did you say it was? 100 what?
It's $1 US is equal to roughly 100 escudos.
So what could you do with 100 of those?
Well, I was able to take a taxi from maybe a couple miles away to the local shopping mall for 200 escudos, like $2.
Okay, that sounds about right. That's what it's like here too in Kenya. So, how much was your average meal? You would say?
Average meal, like a good meal, like $14.
14. Okay, I think that it's like that all around Africa. I think so.
Yeah.
Like if you eat on the street food you can eat for $2 or $3.
Right.
But
if you're talking about a nice restaurant, a decent restaurant, anywhere from $10 to $14.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's kind of right on par with Brazil when it comes to that kind of stuff. Would you say?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in Rio, yes. Like if you're eating at, the kiosks in Copacabana, Rio de Janeiro, it's going to cost you a little bit of grip. Because it's a tourist destination. It's a tourist area. But if you go in the hood or close to the hood and some of them little buffet restaurants, it's really cheap. It's like $3 or $4.
So since you brought up the hood in Brazil, would you say that there's the same kind of danger in Cape Verde?
Yes. I was told not to walk around at night by myself, so I didn't. They have something they have neighborhoods that look like the favelas in Brazil. It looks almost just like it. But I never felt unsafe. Never
Okay.
felt unsafe. I even went to a block party in the hood over there. I mean, you still want to be wary because you got to
Yeah.
watch the crowd, watch people, but still, I never felt unsafe.
So I think it's just the same thing when they say go to when you go to Rio, all the do's and don'ts about the danger, but when you actually get there, it's really just about how much street smart I guess you have and
Right.
common sense.
Don't
You know,
don't walk around. Don't walk around with your chain out. You know what I'm saying? Don't walk around with your cell phone. Just basic stuff.
yeah, basic stuff. So yeah, I guess outside the United States, phone snatching is way bigger in all the other countries, like
Oh
with the
yeah.
money taxis. But in the States, you don't really have to worry about that. It can happen, but it doesn't happen like that.
Right.
So, Mr. Jackson, because we spoke about this before we got on live, he said the ladies in Cape Verde are fire. What would you have to say about that? Because I heard your opinion already about that.
Well, I can only speak about the island that I was on, called Santiago, the biggest island. There's 10 islands. One of them is uninhabited. But the island I was on, I would say the really pretty ones that everybody talks about and everybody sees, they're in the extreme minority.
Mm.
There's not a lot of them. And the ones that you do see, they really stand out. Case in point, the day before I left, I saw these two young ladies sitting at a restaurant table, seafood restaurant table, and they were straight up dimes. I'm talking about bona fide dimes. And I approached the table and I tried to get them an interview. I tried to ask them for an interview. And one of them was so fine, man. She was like, it was like the politest and most sweetest rejection that I've ever experienced, that I've ever had. They were almost apologetic in their rejection of me. So, and one of them, when I was talking to her, the way she was looking at me, it was almost like she was looking through me. You know what I'm saying? I was like almost mesmerized. I'm like, damn, she fine. I was like, man, if you weren't, I'd be trying to cuff you if you weren't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It turned out they were a lesbian couple because they started holding hands. Yeah. So, but they were bad though. They were smoking.
So did you see a lot of that out there, like in Brazil? Because I know in Brazil it's not the majority, but you're not going to not see LGBT when you go to Brazil.
They were only the second lesbian couple that I saw my whole time there.
Okay. So it's pretty much just like the rest of Africa where it's still like a no-go zone. Because I know you see it here in Kenya, you see it in Tanzania, but they'll lock you up in Tanzania for, I think, life in Tanzania,
Wow.
for being gay. So
wow.
Yeah, they're there, but I don't think they enforce it. But
Right.
I do think you're not getting on TV being gay. I don't think that's happening in most African countries.
Wow.
Okay, so what would you say the customer service is like in Cape Verde?
Really good. It's really good. I remember when you said when you was in Salvador or a lot of places in Brazil, it takes a long time for them to get your food.
Mm-hmm.
It takes like 20, 30 minutes for you to get your food. It wasn't that. It was like it took them a long time for them to bring the bill. I'm like, damn, dude, I'm trying to leave, man. Can you please bring my bill?
Yeah.
So that was the only issue I had. That was the only issue.
So okay, so
other than that, the customer service was great.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. So my next question is, can you elaborate a little more on your social experience? Well, first of all, 1 to 10, 10 being the best, what would you grade your social experience in Cape Verde?
1 being crappy and 10 being the best. I'll give it an 8.5.
Okay, that's not too bad.
I'll give it an 8.5.
In Brazil?
In Brazil, depending on what city you're in, I give it about. In Rio, I give it a 9.
Yeah.
In Rio, I give it a 9. I'll put it to you that way. In some other cities, it's not that open, socially open, but using Rio as a benchmark, I'll say a 9.
So how did you like Salvador?
Salvador is slower. It's a different culture. It's a more conservative. It's not as easy to navigate. You definitely need a local to show you around. Like I was able to link up with Vibing with Fred. and he introduced me to. He invited me out to a few spots, which I thought was cool, and I had a good time. But it's a different animal. Salvador is a different animal than Rio is.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. I love Salvador though. I really loved it there.
Mhm.
So, what would you to tap on Portugal a little more? What would you say that? What would you grade the women there in Portugal? 'Cause I know you say you didn't like the social environment there, but what was it like? What did the women look like? Were there a lot of dimes walking around, or was it just like
It's a
Cape Verde?
lot of pretty women in Portugal. A lot of them are a lot of vacationers from other parts of Europe and the United States. But the problem is they ain't choosing.
Oh, yeah,
they
that
ain't,
I like the choosing signals too.
they
Yeah,
ain't choosing. I mean, it ain't just the white ones. It's the black. It's all of them. The black ones, the white ones is like they pay you virtually no attention in Portugal. And I should say Lisbon. Let's put it that way, Lisbon. But you know what's weird is that on Tinder and Bumble, I was getting a lot of hits. I was getting a lot of hits. But the
yeah.
same girl that will swipe right on you on Tinder and Bumble will walk right past you in the street, and not say anything, won't even look at you. That's how weird it is.
So it's a cold approach environment there.
I mean, I didn't cold approach much because I generally don't like doing that. But the
Yeah,
few times I did do it, it's like it's kind of like frigid. When I cold approach somebody, I tend to I ask them like maybe directions or where is this place, just to see what type of vibe they give me. You know what I'm saying? I don't just hit on them right away. I ask them an offhand question, a harmless question, just to see what type of vibe they give me. And the vibe with most of them wasn't all that great. So
okay.
most of the time I ended up just ejecting myself from the interaction.
Yeah, yeah, it was like that when I was in Zambia, and mm, yes. So Zambia sounds like Cape Verde. Like I actually didn't see any diamonds in Zambia. Like that's if you go to Zambia ever to look at the elephants and stuff, go with somebody or the Victoria Falls, whatever it is.
Mhm,
Don't go alone.
mhm.
That I would never do that again. Would you? So would you return to Cape Verde?
I would, but here's the thing: it's not easy to get there. You know what I'm saying? I can't. For example, on this trip, I couldn't take a direct flight from the States to Cabo Verde. You have to
Yeah.
go through someplace else. Like I was
Correct.
already in Lisbon. I originally planned to go to Barcelona, Spain, but I had enough of the European shit. I said, man, I need some, I need some hospitality. So I said, I'm going to Cape Verde. So I said, let me go over here to Cape Verde while I'm on this side of the planet.
So I had somebody, based off what you were saying, they sent me a DM and they showed this picture. I guess this is somebody in Cape Verde. So
Mhm.
you said this was the extreme minority, but you
You
didn't
don't
see
see a
some.
lot of those. You're not going to see a lot of those in Santiago where I was at. And I went around the whole island, which was like an all-day excursion. You're not going. They're there, but you don't see it. You rarely see them.
Wow. Wow. I
You
know a
don't see
lot
them.
of them have gone to Portugal themselves, from what I've seen, that a lot of
But
Cape Verdeans went to Portugal.
I live right across the street from the visa office for Portugal, and it was always a line of people out there trying to get a visa so they can get out of Cape Verde because there's not a lot of money there.
Wow.
Mostly young people.
Okay. Okay.
Speaking of
So
young
when
people, speaking of young
yeah.
people, the population of Cabo Verde is very young. 65% of the population is aged 30 years or younger. It's a
Okay.
lot of young people out there, a lot of kids.
Wow. And did you say that they were choosy in Cape Verde?
The women were very approachable, very approachable. I must have approached like maybe anywhere from 10 to 15 women. None of them gave me an attitude. None of them. They were all present, pleasant, and respectful. Not one gave me an attitude. Even the bad ones, the few bad ones that I was able to talk to, they were just as down to earth as you can be. Just as down to earth as you can be.
Okay. Okay. Asbury, I appreciate the $2 super chat. He says, "What up, fellas? Austin, when are you going to Europe?" I'm stuck in Africa right now. I actually just got this apartment I'm at, so I'm actually living in Kenya now. That's how much I like it. So
Mhm.
uh Europe, it's getting so comfortable around all black people now. It's kind of hard to go to Europe now. It's just the
Yeah,
thought of it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It
I know,
makes
I
you
know
like.
exactly how you feel.
Yeah, I like black women a lot. I mean, I never hated them, but now I really, really like them, especially being out here in Kenya. So, what would you say? How would you compare the beaches in Cape Verde to the beaches in Brazil?
The beaches are cool. The beaches were nice. The water's not too hot and not too cold. It's perfect. As a matter of fact, there was a beach like maybe 100 yards, 200 yards from where I was staying at. It reminded me of some of the beaches in Salvador. They even had a lighthouse out there. I mean, I'm gonna start dropping my Cape Verde videos next week, starting next week, and you're gonna see all that. You're gonna see all the beaches, all the people. You're gonna see exactly what Cabo Verde looks like.
Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to that. So MJ says Portugal has a 90% divorce rate and a big feminist thing there.
I
Would
can
you
see it.
agree
You
with
can
that?
feel it. You can
Yeah,
feel
you
it.
feel
Just walking the street.
it. I hate that. I hate that. Can you please go back to Latin America? We miss the Latinas. No, not yet. Okay, so your interactions with the men, were they friendly like the men in Brazil, or how were they there?
In Cabo Verde,
Yeah.
yeah, everybody was cool. Wasn't nobody mean mugging. I went out to clubs, nightclubs, lounges. Everybody was cool, man. The dudes were
Okay.
cool. Everybody spoke. Nobody had a chip on their shoulder. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't experience it.
So they weren't like overprotective of their women because I know the Somalians like they should not catch you talking to their women. Was it like that there?
A friend of mine or an acquaintance of mine, he lived in Cabo Verde for 2 years. He said they were, but I never experienced any directly. I never experienced that directly.
Okay, that's good. I know most African countries, for the most part, from what I've heard,
Mhm.
they're not going to be too confrontational there,
Mhm.
especially in the five I've been in. They haven't been. Well, except for Zambia, they're not confrontational, but I could feel a little pressure from them. Uh, you said you would go back. Okay, so let me read some of the comments on what some other people say.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
a
go ahead.
Tinder and Bumble are useless in Cabo Verde because it's small.
Yeah,
The island of Santiago, first of all, Cabo Verde only has a little over 500,000 people. And on the island of Santiago, it's only 150,000. So you're going to get on Tinder and Bumble. You're going to swipe through like 30 to 50 girls, and that's the end of the stack.
yeah.
Now, I was able to go out with 2 girls, and I ended up hooking up with one. And that was it. And that was it.
Wow, wow. So it sounded like a dry trip. Well, besides experiencing the culture, when it came to dating, it sounded like a dry trip.
I wouldn't call it dry. I think it's someplace you have to stay for a while.
Yes.
You can't just roll up because it's small. A lot of people, everybody knows everybody. You know what I'm saying? There's not many degrees of separation between people there. So you can't, it's not a place you want to develop a bad reputation. You know what I'm saying? Because if word gets out, you know what I'm saying, everybody's going to know you. So
Yeah.
that being said, you can't just roll up as a gringo and pull a baddie because she's got a reputation to protect. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's someplace you have to be for a while. People got to see you and get to know you and this and this and that.
So would you say that somebody just sent me a cash app? Tony sent a $1 cash app. He says, oh, okay. He says, Austin, I'm serious about us funding your resort in Africa. Mention it in the live audience if they want to too. Most definitely. If you guys want me to take Kesa to a resort here in Mombasa, somewhere, anywhere in Africa, if you guys fund it, I'll for sure go. I mean, I just need y'all to watch the videos, and that's how I know what y'all like and what y'all don't like. I very much appreciate that. So it sounds like Cape Verde had a high school vibe since you said it was so small and it was only
Yeah.
150,000 people.
I, mean,
Yeah.
I had a driver and he drove me around the whole island. It was an all day thing. And it seemed like he knew everybody. Shit.
Wow. So
I'm gonna introduce him. I'm gonna introduce him in the videos as long as different stops we made and the people we met. It's gonna be dope.
So I'm gonna bring up two more things, but first, how was the food?
In Cabo Verde,
Mm,
the places where I ate at, the food was okay. It was okay. The food in Portugal is awesome.
okay,
The food in Portugal was great.
really?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, I wasn't expecting that for a European country.
yeah. I mean, because you got so many different nationalities there. First of all, Lisbon is very diverse. Any nationality you could think of is there.
I've heard.
And so you got all these different type of restaurants, all these options, and it was great. It was cool.
Wow, wow. Okay, so you would say that. Hmm, let me read a couple more comments because I need to come back to my question here in a minute. I forgot my question actually because that one was off the top of the head. There's two. So TLFA says there's two groups of people in Cape Verde. It's Baidu and Sampajudo. These types of girls are normally in the Sampajudo Islands, like Salventia.
Yeah, that's what I heard. In Salve Saint, that's where most of the lighter complected girls are. That's what I heard. Um, I didn't get a chance to get over there because I heard there's only like 2 flights a day going over there. It's like a 20-minute flight, puddle jumper.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like packing all my stuff up, going over there, you know what I'm saying, trying to, it's a hassle. So maybe when I go back, I'll go over to Salve Saint to check.
Okay, so I know most of the African countries I've been to, they have like a serious scamming problem. Like, oh, I don't have change, or when you get in the car, the prices change. Did you experience that there with the taxis?
No, not from the taxis, but from the dudes, from the local dudes, you know what I'm saying? I had one cat. I told him, you know what I'm saying, could you find me some young ladies that I could possibly interview and I'll pay you. And so instead of him getting the girls, he just ate and drank off my dime. So I had to cut him off.
Damn. Okay, I believe you told me about that one. I think you told me about that one. So, how is the Portuguese different there? Because I know that the Portuguese in Mozambique and Angola and Sao Tome is different than it is in Brazil and Portugal. Did you have any trouble understanding people or different
Yes,
accents
I
or
did.
slang?
I did. They use different words. The Portuguese, well, first of all, in Cabo Verde, they speak Portuguese, Creole, and a few people speak French and English. But most people spoke Portuguese. Their accent is similar to the Carioca accent. Carioca means somebody from Rio de Janeiro.
Okay.
The accent is somewhat similar. I can understand them, but the people who spoke Creole, I didn't understand anything.
Wow. So there's must be some French history in there too. Then I
Yeah,
didn't know about that.
yeah.
Okay. Let's see if we got another question. Is there any significant experience you had that you would share in Cape Verde?
Mm, significant experience. Just
Something.
going around the whole island and seeing how people live, and seeing how hospitable everybody was. Uh, I went to a small town, a beach town on the northern part of the island called Tahafao, and that was a great beach. That was a great beach, great area. Um, yeah, and also I went to a little rap concert out there. Little rap
Really?
concert. Yeah, but overall the experience was great. Overall, it was a good experience.
So, what city would you compare Praia, Cape Verde, to the most in Brazil? Would it be Belo Horizonte?
Hell no, no. Belo Horizonte is a huge city full of high rises.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
uh, I would compare Praia to, I would say, what's the name of that town? A little small beach town near Rio.
Is it Cabo Frio?
Yeah, yeah, it's more like that.
So it's a getaway. It's more of a getaway,
Yeah,
and
pretty
yeah,
much. Yeah.
there's not a huge Well, I don't know. Is there a huge population of beautiful women walking around Cabo Frio?
Uh, it's a vacation spot. I mean, it's most of the people that you see are coupled up, so you don't want to roll out there by yourself. You're gonna
Yeah.
see
Okay.
mostly couples.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds like Recife. Would you say Recife is like that too?
The problem with Recife, Monday through Friday, there's nothing going on entertainment wise. It's dead.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I remember I went out there on a Friday afternoon on the beach with all my camera equipment, looking to get some good footage. I'm like, there was nobody out there, nobody. I'm like, what the hell is this, man?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Saturday and
Fred,
Sunday, the beach is packed, but Monday through Friday, there's nothing popping entertainment wise in Recife.
yeah. Yeah, because Fred and Floyd and I went out there. We were supposed to stay a week, 3 days. We had to go. It was just all the clubs were dead on the Friday night. It was like there's no way. There's 4 million people here. I don't
I
see
wish
where they're.
y'all would have. I wish y'all would have told me. Y'all would have told me before y'all went. I was like, man, don't bother.
Yeah, I had a chick I was dating out there, but
Oh, okay.
if it wasn't for her, yeah, I would. It would have been a dry trip.
It's a place you bring you, and plus they got sharks in the water up there. No, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Somebody said this is the benefits when you have a main chick. Yeah, exactly. So Fred said that it sounds like Morro de Sao Paulo.
Moji Sao Paulo. Um, I didn't get a chance to go over there when I was in Salvador because it rained half the time. So I definitely want to get there at some point.
So Tefla left another comment. He said, "Not true. This guy is wrong." I don't know what he's talking
About
about, but
what?
I think he's talking about with Cape Verde, because he was disagreeing about something earlier.
What am I wrong about? Ask me what I'm wrong about.
He says, "I guarantee you, Cape Verde has a lot of beautiful girls. For me, the best in Africa." I don't know. I had to agree with DJP though. You see them online, but I think there's a
I
reason
didn't.
why there's not a lot of
I've been
content.
around that. I went around that whole island, bro. I went around that whole. They're there. You just don't see a lot of them on the island that I was on.
So, what African country would you choose to go to next? Now that you've been to Cape Verde.
Um, I want to try Mozambique.
Okay, I'm going there soon. Very soon.
Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, which is only like an hour and a half flight from Cabo Verde.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, and that's it for now.
Have you thought about Angola?
Yeah, I thought about that. I thought about it.
Yeah. I'm I'm a little more excited for Angola than Mozambique,
Mhm.
just because I heard Angola is a lot more developed. And they said it's more of a Brazil vibe in Angola.
Oh yeah,
I guess that's because that's where the slave they ship the slaves from there to Brazil. So there might be some sort of correlation there.
and Cabo Verde was an outpost of slaves coming from Africa. They'll stop there and they'll go to wherever in North
Mhm.
America, South America they were going to go.
Really, I didn't know that. Well, I guess I could figure that. So the chosen one left a $2 super chat. He said, "So Cape Verde is women are not worth the flight."
Well, since people don't believe me, why don't y'all go out there and see for yourself?
I mean, again, it's a reason why there's not a lot of content. But I know Affy Kingdom. Do you know Affy Kingdom?
Mm-mm.
Okay, he's more of a manosphere guy, but he travels too, and he said that in Cape Verde, sex was just like them drinking coffee. I think he meant to say Brazil because he told me that I was sold and I wanted to go to Cape Verde, but
I,
again,
I think I think I think Brazil is better as far as women.
so you would say go to Brazil first over Cape
Yes.
Verde.
Yes.
In between the three, if you let's say if it was Cape Verde or Portugal, which one would you say go to first?
I would say Portugal simply because of the volume.
Okay.
The volume wise, you're going to get a better chance of connecting with somebody. In Cape Verde, there's not much volume. You know what I mean? Either you got a cold approach, which if you don't speak the language is very difficult, or you have to be introduced.
Oh, I hate being introduced.
Social circle. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
At least in Portugal, I had the volume. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. The opportunity was higher. The chances
Yeah,
were a
exactly.
lot higher. Okay, so it sounds like Cape Verde might be. That's a quick topic, so we might have to switch to Portugal because Cape Verde just sounds like more like a retirement getaway.
It's a good place to build a vacation home. I'll just leave it at that.
Mm. So a quick little 7-day trip,
Yeah.
maybe.
Maybe
Yeah.
2 weeks. Maybe 2 weeks. That's just
Well,
my opinion.
I don't
Some
know if
people
I could
feel
do 2
differently
weeks in
about
that
it.
environment. I don't know if I could do 2 weeks in that environment. The way how you described it.
I mean, my experience may not be your experience. You know what I'm saying? You may get a totally different experience than me. But from my experience, I mean, I do want to see Salvador. You know, I do want to see that. But again, I would have to be over in that area to go. I wouldn't just go there straight to Cabo Verde. If I was in the area, I'd go to Cabo Verde. But and I thought the airport was a little inefficient too.
Why would you say that?
Because when I was leaving, I got to the airport like 2.5 hours early, and it was like just inefficient, and the lines were extra long, and it was just a mess trying to get out.
Wow.
It was a mess trying to get out.
Okay,
so
go ahead.
So that factoring in all that other stuff, it kind of makes you, think twice about going back.
Shit. Damn. Okay. I feel
it's worth going. It's worth going to see. It's worth going to see. But I don't want to go through that ordeal I went through at the airport.
Yeah, so that sounds like my experience in Rwanda. Like, it was beautiful. They had beautiful women there. They were all hiding inside. You had to meet them online. You couldn't really find them out that much. But I wouldn't say don't go there, but don't go there.
Don't go out of your way to go there.
Don't go out of your way to go there. You know, it's not a place you go looking for, but if it's there and you see it, yeah, I could see that. So 2 comments I want to address right here. But the first one says Cape Verdeans got that mulatto zaddy energy. He's saying that they're more for the white guys.
I saw a little bit of that over there too. I saw a little bit of that.
Okay, and then the sun goddess says Auston is younger, so he may have more fun in Cabo Verde, which you said there's a younger population, so maybe that may be true.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You might have a different experience than me.
The Chosen 1997 says, so Brazil and Kenya are dope. Who's in third place? Brazil, I always said that Kenya was the Brazil of Africa for me. It's the same experience I had in Rio, I had in Nairobi. That's why I haven't left.
Wow.
Yeah, literally, and there's no beach here, and it's literally that same energy. That same energy. Without the kissing on the spot, without that part.
Okay.
But third place, I'd have to give it to Tanzania. Tanzania would come after Brazil and Kenya. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that they're known for divesting out there. Okay, so yeah. Brazil's been the only country I've ran into with that whole kissing on the spot as a thing, but there's places with that same type of culture there where it's a lot different. But how would you say the Americanization is there? Is there like a heavy American influence? Probably not because of the language barrier, right?
Not really.
Okay, because it's out here in Kenya somewhat. I give Kenya maybe 5 or 6 more years, and it's going to be a lot similar. Or at least Nairobi, let me say. Any place where people know English fluently, like we've said before, that you can see some similarities to what you would see in the States. So Kip Blake says, I say you go and find out for yourself. We're much younger than him, and we're operating in a different era. I've met some beautiful Cape Verdean women. So where did you meet them at, though?
You met some beautiful Cape Verdean women where? In Cape Verde or outside of Cape Verde?
Yeah, because people are different in their homeland versus outside. You know, if you meet a Brazilian in the States, she's probably going to be better than the American women, but people do change when they go to the States. You know, there's freedom. So you can do whatever you want, act however you want, pretty much.
I'm not saying there's not any. I think people are misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm not saying there's not some beautiful Cape Verdean women. I saw some over there. There are beautiful women there. It's just not. I just didn't see droves of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely understand it. So when are you coming to Nairobi? You need to check out Nairobi for sure.
Oh, man. Right now, I'm heading back to Brazil soon.
Really? Oh, you got to get a reset on.
Yeah, I gotta go back home.
You going back to Rio?
Yeah.
So would you say How has Rio changed since you first went in 2016?
Uh
2013, right?
yeah, I went in 2013.
Okay.
How has it changed? I think social media has changed a lot of things. Uh, I will say that women are not as open to cold approach as they were back then. Um, there were more. It seemed like there were more women on the beaches back then, more beautiful women on the beaches back then. Nowadays, you still got some, but not as many. They've dispersed. Um, a lot of the women that were in Rio, they left. They go elsewhere. Either they go to other cities or other countries or whatever, getting flued out, whatever. The dynamics has changed a little bit. It's still great. The energy's still there. The energy's still there.
Would
That's
you
why I
say
like it. Huh?
would you say there's a time limit on Rio with globalization and all that? Would you say there's a time limit before it starts to become somewhere like the United States?
Uh no, because Brazilian culture is very strong. Brazilian
Correct.
culture is pretty strong. I don't see it becoming much like the United States. I mean, they got their own culture, their own music. You know, sure they listen to a lot of American songs, you know, watch a lot of American TV shows and things like that. But I wouldn't say there's a time limit on it. If you're talking about the touristy parts of Rio, maybe, but
Yeah.
once you start getting outside the touristy joints, I don't think so.
Okay. So you're talking about like Madruera, somewhere like that.
Yeah,
It's still, yeah, I had a good time over there too, but it was very dangerous when I
yeah,
was leaving.
that's a sketchy neighborhood over there.
Yeah. Yeah, when we were leaving, there was a guy outside with a tech directing traffic with a mask on his face. So
Yeah,
yeah, that it was like being in a movie. I hadn't seen nothing like that before. So it's definitely, let's say, but you get to feel more of the culture there.
right.
Okay, so out of the three countries, Portugal, Brazil, Cape Verde, who would you say has the best food?
Portugal,
Who has the best women?
Brazil,
Best customer service?
Cabo Verde,
Okay. Okay. Best internet?
Portugal, hands down.
Best, I believe that. Best sense of urgency. Let's say like with the food or being on time with the taxis and stuff like that.
Best punctuality.
Like here in Nairobi, when I order food, there's not a lot of bullshitting going on. When I was in Tanzania, you could be sitting around 45 minutes and they haven't even started to cook. You're the only one in the restaurant. They haven't even started cooking food yet.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of that. I didn't get none of that. I didn't get none of that. I know what
Yeah,
you mean. The only thing with Cape Verde, like I said, it wasn't the bringing of the food that took a long time. It was the bringing of the bill. Like,
yeah.
dude, can you please give me my bill so I can pay so I can get out of here? I'm sitting there like 20, 30 minutes waiting to pay for my stuff.
But the urgency, would you say the urgency was the most, like they were the most prompt in Portugal out of the three?
Urgency with regard to,
Like the speed of things on
yeah,
like
yeah,
business wise.
yeah. Portugal, I mean, it's pretty much like the States. I mean,
Yeah.
Lisbon, let's just say Lisbon. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to say the whole Portugal, just Lisbon. It's pretty much like the States. Once you get outside the center of the city with all the colonial buildings and stuff, it looks pretty much like any other American city.
Okay. So more fortune says if DJP goes to Kenya, he'll be hooked. I believe that too. Now there's not as many curly froze out here in Kenya. I will tell you that because I
Oh
know
yeah,
you like curly froze. I like them too,
I love it.
but there's not as many. But it's a lot for you to pick from out here. But Kenya, Nairobi is like the melting pot of East Africa. I would say like you can find people from Somalia, Sudan, West Africa, South Africa, Madagascar. This is like a nice place to be in, and everybody speaks English. Everybody, like 100% of the people speak English for sure.
I wanted to say in Portugal, well, in Lisbon anyway, language barrier is not an issue. Most people speak English, including
I've
the
heard
native Portuguese people. Huh?
I've heard that. I've heard that.
Yeah.
So a lot of signs are in English too.
Yes.
Wow.
So you can just roll up there with no language ability other than English, and you'll be fine.
What was the nightlife like in Cape Verde? Was
It
there a
was
lot?
it was dope. I mean, it was dope. It wasn't a lot of people in some of the spots I was at. It don't really, some of the places didn't really get popping until like after 2 a.m. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But it was cool. It was nice. It was some nice. I went in some nice spots over there. It was like on some, one of the places, it looked like some Wakanda Forever type shit. You know what I'm saying? It looked really like real stylish and chic, and you know what I'm saying? I was like, this is all right.
Did they have the caipirinhas out there in Cape Verde too?
Yes, they did. Caipirinha, caipirosca.
So how would you compare it to the ones in Brazil? I'm pretty sure Brazil is still killing them.
It's about the same. It's about the same. It depends on where you go in both places. Some places don't. Some places in Brazil don't make a caipirinha worth a damn. You know what I'm saying? It depends on where you go.
Yeah, and his seafood, they weren't that good at it, and they were more expensive.
Right.
Okay. Let's see if anybody else has any questions in the comments. That pretty much touched up. I think if you had more of a Brazil experience, we could elaborate more on Cape Verde. But I think Portugal and Cape Verde kind of, that Brazil sets that bar so high.
Brazil spoils you.
It's spoiled, and that's the perfect word to use. It's spoiled, especially with the choosing signals.
Yes.
The parties everywhere, the vibe, that energy, the live music everywhere. Brazil sets that bar way too high.
Lisbon is beautiful. It's great infrastructure, but if you're a single guy, I would say bring somebody with you. It's good for a vacation spot, but I don't think it's good for a single guy trying to. If you're a guy that likes to meet women, I don't think Portugal is the optimal place.
See, I'm kind of scared to take somebody with me because I got a feeling the one time I take somebody with me, I'm gonna be looking around like, damn, you know.
I don't think you're gonna have that issue there.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna have that issue there. I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to take a girl to Rio de Janeiro. You'd be a stupid motherfucker if you do that.
Yeah, that's one. There's so many cities in Brazil you don't want to take. I mean, Recife you could. Kid Blake says Miami. It was. Oh, so he said he met a Cape Verdean woman in Miami. It was in passing. We vibed. They headed back, but went to school with some also. However, he may have a point with the being introduced or network, but I think that applies everywhere to a point. Not everywhere. Rio, Salvador, Nairobi, Kenya. You can pretty much just walk around and bump into people. You could fly in by yourself and bump around. I wouldn't. I mean, you can be introduced everywhere, but I mean, those places I just named, I think you can just walk around and find somebody.
I mean, social circle is always the best way to meet people.
Yeah.
But if social circles are hard to break into, then that could be a problem. You know what I'm saying? That could be a problem.
But you notice he said he met him in Miami, though.
Right.
So there's more competition for them in Miami too. So they're gonna act a little different. I appreciate that super chat as well. They're gonna act a little different in Miami than they would probably in their home country. Yeah, brother. So would you ever visit South Africa? I really got a good feeling about South Africa for sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going. I'm thinking about going in November. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I want to take a trip to Ghana. You have to kind of know somebody to go in there. Otherwise, you have to get a visa. You have to mail in your paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
They have to mail it back to you. So that's like a 2-week process already by itself to get a visa. You can't just fly into Ghana unless you
know tourist visa?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you can get a visa on arrival, but that's like an inside job from what I've heard. That's not, you can't just fly in there.
Hold on, let me address. I see your comment. He says, Dennis asking for interviews might scare chicks off. They don't take you seriously. What is he talking about? I don't just ask for interviews off the bat. Number one. I don't just ask them, hey, you want to do? No, I don't do it like that. I just, come on, man. Give me more credit than that, man. Come on. I got a little bit of finesse, a little bit of game with my stuff. Come on, man.
So which country would you say has the most potential for wife material, the quickest place to find a wife out of the three?
I will say Brazil.
Okay, that's controversial because Vibing with Fred came out with that video back in March where he said Brazil is the chances. He did a video where he said it's not a place that he would say come here and find a wife. Why would you say?
It depends on where you go. It depends on where you go. Like, for example, I know a lot of guys who claim that if you want to find a wife, go to Minas Gerais. The state of Minas Gerais in Brazil. I know a couple of guys who are involved with women from Minas Gerais, engaged to be married or are married. So people everywhere say that. They say if you want to find a wife, go to Minas Gerais.
I actually had Belo Horizonte is in Minas Gerais, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I had a chick I was dealing with from there, and I brought her to Rio, and the energy was a lot different than the typical party. Yeah, I could see that for sure.
And people saying that they're not seeing many marriages come out of Brazil. I don't know where they're looking. People getting married all the time.
Yeah, I know plenty of people in relationships in Brazil and married. Yeah.
People getting married in relationships, got girlfriends,
So when do you plan on getting married if you do?
If I find another great one, I'll if I find a great one, I'll lock it up.
So you're one step away from hanging up the player card.
Pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
And what got you to that point? It's just that time in life, or?
Yeah, it's that time in life. You get tired of dealing with all the stupidity that comes with trying to date and juggling different girls. It gets old after a while.
Absolutely.
It gets old after a while. And plus, as of this recording, I'm 45 years old, so it's about that time anyway.
Yeah, I can see that. So where would you start a family at first?
Brazil probably. Okay. If I ever get married, my wife will be Brazilian. I mean, there's no question about that.
They have a special thing about them that makes you feel that way for
Marty
sure.
W. Swear he knows something about me.
Play it to the grave. Yeah. So
you can't play forever.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't play forever.
Who would you say has the most straightforward kind of culture? Because somebody asked right here, are the women in those countries straightforward? Who would you say has the most straightforward?
Brazil,
I can agree.
You can be direct with them and they won't be spooked.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You can be very direct with them. You can tell them exactly how you feel, exactly what you want, and they won't get offended or spooked.
I would say it's like that in Nairobi too. I really think you need to try out Nairobi. Nairobi's like that here too, but when it comes to wife material, you're gonna have to stay here for like years. I can see that, and I know people that have been here for years, and they say the same thing. That like there's wives here, but you can't just. It's for me. 24 is perfect right now. This is a party city. Everybody's on that same type of time, but I would still have to give it to Brazil when it comes to the quickness on how soon you could find a wife.
Yes, absolutely.
But the only reason you say, you said the Cape Verde women it wasn't a lot of beautiful ones anyway. In Brazil, we know Brazil, they're left and right. There's women damn near picking up trash that's beautiful and serving hot dogs, beautiful women serving hot dogs.
Man, I remember this was back in like 2013, 14. I saw this garbage collector on Copacabana, this lady, and she was so gorgeous, man. I'm like, and her eyes were like totally white. Her teeth were totally white. I'm like, I couldn't talk to her because I had my girlfriend with me at the time, but she was gorgeous. That was the prettiest garbage collecting girl I ever seen. She was dark skinned, long black hair, gorgeous.
If it's one thing the women in Rio will do, they will get braces and they will whiten their teeth.
And they
I've
will
noticed.
color it, and they will bleach the hairs on their arms and their legs.
I love that shit. I love that blonde hair. Viva Specifico, thank you very much for becoming a member. And Raider Ben says the Godfather of Brazil is getting married. Wow.
Well, yeah, like if I meet the right person, yeah, I'll consider locking it up.
Oasis says 24 in East Africa. 20 is a normal age to be married. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what. I don't know where in East Africa you saw. I mean, maybe historically it was, but right now there's plenty of people older than me that aren't married. From what maybe it's just a place I'm hanging out at. I don't know. DJP Salvador versus Rio comparison. Thank you very much for pointing it out, Fred.
I'm a Rio guy. That's why I started out at. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a real. I just love the energy in Rio. I love the beaches. I love the energy. I love the entertainment options. I just love it in general.
So Viva Specifico says, love to see the narrative, and we're gonna come back to that. I'm gonna read the super. Love to see the narrative changing and having the bold demonstrate the need to change their settings. I know you are going everywhere, but I especially appreciate your Africa tours. God bless you, man. Thank you very much. Africa has been the best thing that's happened to me so far. I love Brazil, but Africa has hit me in a different way for sure. So what was your experience like in Salvador that makes Rio better, that energy in Rio better?
Salvador's a little bit slower. It's a little
Yes.
bit slower. I like the beaches in Rio more. Salvador, you had to be there for a while. Because when I was there, one problem I was running into, I'd meet young ladies, and one of the first questions they asked me do you live here, or are you just passing through?
They
And
will ask.
when I tell them I'm passing through, a lot of them would disappear. So, you know what I'm saying? That's a major problem. You have to be there for a while.
It's less of a international city.
Yes.
So they're not used to that. Well, most of them. I ran into plenty of women in Salvador they said, you never know, but they said I was their first gringo ever. But it seemed pretty true because they seemed like they were about to do a backflip. Just the fact that, oh wow, he's a gringo. I've never had a gringo before, but in Rio, you're not really hearing that too often. Usually they're probably lying if they say that, if you ask me.
Yeah, Rio was more of an international. Well, it is an international tourist destination. Salvador, not so much.
Mm-hmm. Kid Blake says Kenya is a game changer. I cried when I left. That was what Brazil did to me for sure. Now, Globalism Black Man says Salvador is a conservative for sure.
It's more conservative. It's more religious too.
It's more religious, but I've been to truly conservative countries like, let's say, like Uganda. I mean, it's not truly conservative, but Uganda, Tanzania is 50% Muslim. And you have women that do sleep around or move slower, but Salvador, I never got that. I gotta meet your parents vibe, but we gotta, know that there was a lot of liberated women just like Rio. It might not be as many, but there's no shortage of them in Salvador.
Well, here's the thing: you live there, you were living there, like Vibe and Fred, y'all live there, so y'all have a much better vantage point than I do. I've only been there for 3 weeks total. So y'all have a much better gauge of what's going on in Salvador than I do. But I just like Rio, man. I'm just a Rio dude.
Yeah, I can see that.
Rio will be my base, and then when I get tired of being in Rio, I go somewhere else in Brazil. Hop on a flight, go to Fortaleza, go to Natal, go wherever.
What is universal healthcare like in Africa? I don't have medical insurance. You have to add more to that question. Appreciate that super chat. I'll read the next chat. Elaborate on that question a little bit more because I don't have any medical insurance or anything like that. Is there what is universal healthcare like in Brazil?
Uh, that I don't know because I use Nomad Insurance,
Okay.
Nomad Medical Insurance by Safety Wing. You just set whatever date you're traveling, and you'll be covered for your trip.
Okay, so how much is Nomad medical insurance? 'Cause I've never even heard of that.
Uh, I think I paid like it's like $34 a week or something like that. It's not. It's inexpensive. It's not. It's not. It's fairly cheap.
So close
It
to
depends. It depends on what company you roll with. Like I do Safety Wing.
Mhm. Okay. So what if I'm pretty much done with all my questions so far. What are some final words you would have to say about your experiences traveling to the three countries of Portugal, Brazil, and Cape Verde?
Well, I'm glad I went to both Portugal and Cape Verde. It was a great experience. I'm definitely going back to Portugal next summer, but this time I'll bring somebody with me. Because before I went to Portugal, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know where to go, where not to go. But now I do. So I think the next time I go back, it'll be a better experience. Uh, I definitely want to visit another African country at some point. I'm not sure which one, but Brazil will always be. Brazil is home base always.
Okay, one thing I forgot to touch on between the two countries. Compare your culture shock. Which country out of the three gave you the most of a culture shock?
Mm, I would say Portugal because I wasn't prepared for how frigid the people were on the street. I mean, very few people make eye contact. Almost no one speaks. I wasn't ready for that. And also, there's Lisbon is very diverse. That shocked me. It's very diverse. There's a lot of blacks in Lisbon, to be honest. Believe it or not, it's a lot of black people in Lisbon. Every nationality you could think of is in Lisbon. I did not know that prior to going over there. That was a surprise. I see type of people that I've never seen before. Same thing when I went to Brazil the first time. The look of the people is different from what you see in the States. So I had to get used to that. I'd say that was if you want to call it a culture shock, that was more of a culture shock than anything.
Okay. Okay.
And also the sticker price of the euro.
Really?
Because the
Really?
value of the euro is higher than the US dollar. So
Yeah. Yeah.
paying more. You're going to be
Yeah.
paying more. Your money got to be right to be messing around in Europe.
Yeah, that's why when I go to Europe, I'm going to Eastern Europe first and then going to West because I already know about that. I need to make sure my funds are right for sure. Michael Pan says, "Is healthcare free in Africa?" I went to the doctor here a couple weeks ago in Nairobi, and no, it's not like I know when I went to the doctor in Brazil, they didn't charge me for the visit. They just charged me for the medication, which I had to get that at the pharmacy. But to answer your question, so far from what I've seen, no. The 5 countries I've been to, no. Steal from foreigners, I would never. But okay, so I'm glad to have your input on Cape Verde. I'm still gonna try it. I'm gonna take your. I'm gonna decide if I'm gonna take your advice about taking somebody with me. But the fact that you say it's 150,000 people, I think you're probably spot on with that because I don't
Well,
see.
on the island of Santiago, on the island I was on, Cape
Mhm.
Verde is like a little over 500,000 people total.
Which Arlington, Texas, almost has that many people,
Yeah,
and that's one city in the metroplex of Texas. So
but
I think you're right on that.
coming up this week on Friday, I'm gonna drop my observations from Lisbon video. I'll be breaking down all my experiences in Lisbon, so definitely check that out. And then the next week is gonna be my first prior Cape Verde video, so you'll be able to see a lot of what I'm talking about.
All right, moderators, if you would drop his channel link in the description, and y'all can go check him out, Dennis Jean Pierre. Again, this is the guy that I was watching before I became Auston Holleman. I was watching him before I took my first trip to Brazil when I was fed up in the States. And this is somebody that truly inspired me to even just to stick to my plans to go to Brazil because I was doubting it at first. And yeah, after listening to a lot of his videos, he was pretty spot on. So he's a very honest content creator. I can 100% say that. But I appreciate you coming through. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the live, and we'll talk on the back end.
For sure. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Peace.
All right, you guys. So Tony, I'm about to wrap up the live, but I'm going to say one more thing so we know where to go. Tony has been sending me Cash App after Cash App because he wants to start a fund for me to go to a resort. I believe he told me to take Kesa with me too because I know that y'all want to see me travel with her. He wants to start a fund for me to travel to a nice resort out here, anywhere in Africa. I don't know, Madagascar, Mombasa, Kenya, anywhere where there's a beach, a nice resort. But he said, since YouTube takes 30%, if you guys would drop money in the Cash App, I just left the Cash App right here in the bio, and it's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And if anybody has any more questions before I wrap up, I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes, and then it's 1:06 a.m. here in Nairobi, so it's time for me to go to bed. And I got another video premiering here at 1:30, so in about 25 minutes. Most definitely visit the island, yes. From what Dennis just described, it sounds like a trip to Zanzibar. Everybody says take a woman with you to Zanzibar. Don't go alone. Fred had enough of the spamming. You look very happy in the African context. Africa, your permanent home. As far as I can see right now, yes, Africa is my permanent home. I have a 3-month lease on this apartment I'm at. And I'm going to keep traveling around, and I'm going to keep doing, quarterly leases. But when I go, I just really don't see me liking Europe as much. I always just keep promoting Africa minus the ladies. I'm sorry to tell you that won't be happening because that's just not going to happen. That's not. But I see you put LOL at the end, so I think you're kidding. But yeah, I appreciate everybody coming through. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. And y'all make sure y'all become a member. Like the video, share this video with somebody that's interested in learning about Cape Verde. And I'll see y'all next time.